इफ़ यू आर समवन जिसके दिमाग में बहुत सारे डाउट्स हैं कि साइबर सिक्योरिटी में कैसे शुरू करें, कैसे एक बड़ी कंपनी में एक अच्छी जॉब हो, अच्छा सैलरी हो, कैसे ज्वाइन करा जाए, चाहे वो अमेजॉन हो या फिर फेसबुक हो, राइट, मेक माई ट्रिप हो, तो कैसे इन कंपनीज में ज्वाइन करा जाता है, कैसे अप्रोच करा जाता है, कहाँ अप्लाई करा जाता है, कैसे मैं इस जॉब को ढूंढूं, कैसे मैं अपनी लिंक्डइन प्रोफाइल को बनाऊं, कैसे स्किल गेन करूं, क्या रिसोर्सेज हैं, बहुत सारी चीज़ें, राइट। इस पॉडकास्ट को आप ज़रूर देखना, पूरा देखना, आपको सब कुछ समझ में आएगा। तो आज के जो गेस्ट है वो है प्रथम मित्तल एंड ही इज़ वर्किंग विद अमेजॉन। उनको बहुत अच्छा खासा एक्सपीरियंस है। मेक माई ट्रिप में भी उन्होंने काम करा है, रेजर पे में भी काम करा, और एंड नाउ करेंटली इज़ वर्किंग विद अमेजॉन एज ए एप्लीकेशन सिक्योरिटी इंजीनियर। तो हमने बहुत कुछ डिस्कस करा इस पॉडकास्ट में, चाहे वो क्लाउड सिक्योरिटी हो, थ्रेट मॉडलिंग हो, या फिर पेनिट्रेशन टेस्टिंग हो, CTF हो, बग बाउंटी हो, बहुत कुछ। मतलब इस पॉडकास्ट में इतनी सारी चीज़ें हमने डिस्कस करी है कि अगर आप पूरा देखोगे आपको बहुत कुछ समझ में आएगा, राइट। यू जस्ट हैव टू सिट बैक एंड रिलैक्स, और चाहे कॉफ़ी ले आओ, ठीक है। पूरा पॉडकास्ट देखो, एंजॉय करो, टाइम निकालो, और बहुत कुछ गेन करके जाओ। इट्स इज़ अ प्रॉमिस टू यू, क्या बहुत कुछ सीख के जाओ। और आपसे बस मैं कुछ नहीं चाहता हूँ, अगर आपको पसंद आए तो आप लाइक कर ही दोगे, अगर नहीं पसंद आया तो डिसलाइक कर देना, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, ठीक है। और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर देना सो दैट मैं ऐसे गेस्ट को और लेके आऊँ, राइट। काफ़ी दिन से मैंने वीडियो नहीं बनाया था बिकॉज आई रिसेंटली गॉट मैरिड। दिस इज़ अ बिग न्यूज़, आई वांट टू शेयर इट विथ यू ऑल, राइट। तो चलिए कॉन्वर्सेशन पर मूव करते हैं।
Yeah, sure. So myself, Pratham Mittal. I am currently working as an application security engineer with Amazon. So I come with around 2 years of full-time experience in application security domain. And apart from this, like I am interested in bug bounties as well, and little bit interested in soft side as well. So my current role basically involves around the reviews part. So basically reviewing the clouds and doing threat modeling, code reviews that all. So that's about me. Thank you.
कैसे स्टार्ट करा था, एंड बिफोर दैट आपने ग्रेजुएशन और या पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन अगर करी है तो क्या करा है, एंड देन हाउ हैव यू स्टार्टेड टू साइबर सिक्योरिटी, प्लीज टॉक।
Yes, sure. So it's a very great journey and I will say interesting one. So all this started in the COVID time during 2020 when like we all were at the home and all. So like COVID ka time tha, I was at home, colleges were closed and everything. So I just saw a post of called ethical hacking on the I would say Facebook. तो उसने मुझे काफ़ी इंटरेस्ट किया बहुत जिससे तो मैंने पहली बार सुना है और इस में कुछ एथिकल था भी या नहीं। तो मैंने देखा कि वहाँ पे वेबिनार था, फ्री था, तो मैंने रजिस्टर कर दिया था, फ्री है, ठीक है कर लेते हैं हम, फ्री बैठे हैं। तो वहाँ पे कोई आए, उन्होंने लाइक एक्सप्लेन किया कि ऐसे ऐसे, तो काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग लगा। तो मैं सोचा नेक्स्ट टेक 1 और 2 कोर्सेज, देखा जाएगा पेड कोर्सेज के, बट आई ट्राई। तो कोर्सेज किए, दोज वर वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। तो लाइक और इंटरेस्ट बढ़ा। तो आफ्टर दैट लाइक देयर वाज नो वन लाइक हु आई न्यू like who is like basically into security thing because I am coming from a software developer background. तो लाइक मैंने काफ़ी एक्सप्लोर किया, यूट्यूब पे किया, लिंक्डइन पे लोगों से कनेक्शन बनाया, आपका चैनल लाइक मैं काफ़ी टाइम से फॉलो कर ही रहा हूँ। तो वहाँ से लाइक मुझे पता चला लाइक कि कहाँ से मुझे स्टार्ट करना चाहिए, क्या करना चाहिए। लाइक आई मेंशन मैंने पहले तो कोर्सेज किए और लाइक कॉलेज में मैं ऑलरेडी बेसिक कोर्सेज काफ़ी पता जैसे DBMS, computer networks and operating systems. These three I think are the basic building blocks of cyber security. Like ये 3 तो आने ही चाहिए। तो उसके बाद कोर्सेज में मैंने बेसिक सीखा साइबर सिक्योरिटी का, कंप्यूटर का, नेटवर्क का कि कैसे नेटवर्क पूरा सिस्टम कनेक्टेड है, व्हाट आर द सर्वर्स, व्हाट आर हेडर्स एंड एवरीथिंग। After that I jumped on to the vulnerabilities. So firstly I learned what about top 10 vulnerabilities which are the basic one and everyone should be knowing. तो धीरे धीरे विद टाइम लाइक मैं और vulnerabilities के बारे में पढ़ता गया और लाइक काफ़ी रिसोर्सेज पड़ा, हर जगह से कुछ न्यू सीखने को मिला। लाइक कुछ में वल्नरेबिलिटी अगर उठाऊँ जैसे CSR, एक पे लाइक मुझे जस्ट बेसिक डेफिनेशन पता लगा, इस दूसरे पे गया वहाँ पे मुझे और अच्छे से पता लगा, तीसरे पे मुझे और अच्छे से रेमिडिएशन पता लगा, इसको फिक्स कैसे कर सकते हैं। लाइक पहले मुझे लगता था ये सारा टोकन ये किसका रेमिडिएशन है, और विद टाइम पता लगा नहीं, डबल सबमिट कुकीज भी है, फ्लैग्स भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं। और लाइक फिक्स फिर विद टाइम पता लगा कि एज अ सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपर मुझे फिक्स करना है तो वो कैसे करना है इन द कोड। तो विद टाइम वो भी सीखा बिकॉज इफ आई टॉक अबाउट एन इंजीनियर तो यू शुड ऑल्सो बी ट्राइंग कि चीज फिक्स कैसे होनी चाहिए, नॉट ओनली हाउ टू एक्सप्लॉइट दैट और फाइंड दैट। तो ऐसे विद टाइम फिर मैंने बग बाउंटीज थोड़ा शुरू किया, CTFs मैंने बहुत प्ले की, CTF से बहुत हेल्प किया मेरी लाइक टेक्निकल स्किल्स को बढ़ाने के लिए।
ये कहाँ पर आप करते थे, मतलब देर आर लॉट मेनी वेबसाइट्स, ऑफ कोर्स, बट
या So I started with TryHackMe and Pico CTF. So I think that is the basic one. TryHackMe is very easy to moderate and same for the Pico CTF. So after that, I also started participating in CTF competitions as well. So you can go to the site, I think CTF Time, as if I remember. So companies do regularly post on that site if there are any competition. It can be college competition, it can be competition by companies, or on the LinkedIn also you can find any competition. So there also you will get a lot of idea of what companies expect from you, because if any company is designing a CTF, they will obviously keep that particular thing in mind. If that guy is able to solve the CTF, then most probably the guy has those skills which they need. So for the first job, if I will tell, so I was exploring on LinkedIn and all. So I just saw a post that someone is hiring in cybersecurity. That was for the internship role. So I just applied manually and reached that person that I'm interested, and I told him I have these skills. And there is no company who come to our college for hiring in cybersecurity. So kindly see. So I received the call and it interview and I got internship. So I think yeah, that internship was like,
Sorry to interrupt again. So before
yeah,
that, before you messaging that person on LinkedIn, were you having any experience? I mean, on CTF and all, were you used to play, right? Like
yeah,
CTF
city or
or
Bhakti
county?
also.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that you utilized to clear the interview.
Yeah. I get that. And moreover, I was basically, if I tell about internship, so mostly company expect the knowledge of the vulnerabilities and the basic computer concepts, which I mentioned, computer networks, OS and DBMS. If you're good in this, there's a high chance we will get the internship.
So on source code reviews, right? So let's suppose the audience, right? If someone is beginner, right, does not know about how to actually review the code. So how one can get started into this? एकदम बिगिनर एकदम बिल्कुल जिसको कुछ नहीं पता तो वो कैसे स्टार्ट करे
Okay.
reading a source code and then understanding if it is vulnerable or not, then how to fix that vulnerability. Are there any resources? Yeah.
Yes. तो मेरा फर्स्ट रिएक्शन तो ये रहेगा, आई थिंक द पाइथन इज द लैंग्वेज विच इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इजीएस्ट वन टू लर्न एंड अंडरस्टैंड. अगर कोई बिगिनर है तो आई कैन सजेस्ट कि पाइथन से वो स्टार्ट कर सकता है. He can start learning Python. There are many courses available on the YouTube as well. It's there. So Python ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको बहुत हाई लेवल पे सीखना है, आपको पूरा कोड करना है. बस आपको ऐसा है कि समझ आ जाना चाहिए कि Python वर्क कैसे करता है, क्या क्या फंक्शन है, फंक्शन कैसे डिफाइन होते हैं एंड ऑल. After that, there are a lot of resources. I would say the OWASP as well there, so you can learn about secure coding there. They will explain you at least about the WASP top 10 vulnerabilities. Let's say the example of SQLite. So they will tell you how we can identify SQLite at the code level. And there are many other vulnerabilities as well. So I think
Great.
he or she can start with the Python language, and with time when he or she gets the experience, then the most language used language I think are Golang and Java in today's time. So I think with time they can shift to these languages as well, and as it will be lot of easy for them. For the remediation, I would say firstly they should learn about finding the vulnerabilities, and side by side when they will start like उनको कोड समझ आना शुरू होगा, तो उनको धीरे धीरे पता लगने लगेगा कि लाइक इसको कैसे फिक्स कर सकते हैं एंड ऑल.
So on the cloud security front, because nowadays most of the companies are moved or moving to cloud, right? So learning about cloud security, yes, of course, firstly we should know about how the cloud works, right? How the AWS, and there are a lot many services, right? But how to secure them? How one can start learning about those cloud security?
Okay. So firstly I would say pick any cloud. It's not important to learn all the three clouds. कोई भी पिक करो, AWS, Azure, GCP. आप कोई भी कोर्स ले सकते हो. Everywhere course is available. So I usually prefer Udemy for the courses. And nowadays I'm also getting search from internal Amazon as well. But for the guys who are listening to this, I would suggest that there are a lot of courses in Udemy. You can start from there. Pick any cloud. Learn about the basics, what cloud is, what is IAM policies, which is the one of the most important thing in the cloud. Learn about other resources which will be used in the cloud. What is their function? One thing that I would like to emphasize on is always, let's say there are 10 things in the cloud. You know about only 5 things, that is fine. But you should be perfecting those 5 things. You should be knowing each and everything of those 5 things. If you know only big things, but you know about all 10 things, obviously in interview or in the work, there will be a lot of problems because cloud is not an easy thing. It's a complex thing, but you should be knowing each and everything in detail. So start with the courses. you will get the basic knowledge. After that, there are a lot of certification as well that one can go for in the cloud basically. तो सर्टिफिकेशन के लिए भी काफ़ी यूडेमी पे कोर्सेज हैं. अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर सर्टिफिकेशन करना है तो वहाँ से आई थिंक काफ़ी नॉलेज मिल जाएगा.
Certification. So let's suppose AWS, if someone chooses, right? So there is AWS fundamentals, of course. Then are there any security specific certification for those that people should
Yeah,
be aware?
there are many security native certification. It's in AWS as well. It's in Azure as well. It's in GCP as well. I don't remember the names as such to be very frank. But yeah, there are many certifications that will also help you also a lot in getting your job. Because if you will see on LinkedIn, you will see a job with cloud security engineer especially. That they need a security engineer to maintain only the cloud. AppSec is different. So that is how much big the cloud is in today's time. And especially for one cloud, let's say AWS security engineer they need, Azure security engineer. So that's why I mentioned that first thing in the starting. Know about only 5G, but that should be very deep.
Let's do one fact check. Basically, अभी तक जितना मैंने सुना है कि क्लाउड जो प्रोफेशनल होते हैं, क्लाउड सिक्योरिटी प्रोफेशनल, दे हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. मतलब जनरली जो जॉब्स दी जाती हैं वो मोस्टली फ्रेशर्स को या कम एक्सपीरियंस वालों को क्लाउड की नहीं दी जाती. आई मीन हायरिंग पर्सपेक्टिव. आई मीन इज इट अ फैक्ट और इज इट, ये आप एक बार ही बताओ. If
No, it's right. No, it's completely right. उसके पीछे रीजन भी है. Like I mentioned, cloud is a very complex thing. इतना easy नहीं है. और जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि बहुत चीज़ें उसमें और बहुत अच्छे से आपको सीखना पड़ता है. और आपको अगर बेसिक नॉलेज है वो आप क्लाउड पे लगा देंगे तो ऑब्वियसली यू आर गोइंग टू मीट सो मेनी मिस्टेक. और आपसे कुछ भी अगर छोटा सिक्योरिटी इशू भी छुप गया तो ऑब्वियसली है. और क्लाउड पे सब कुछ है. क्लाउड अगर कल फट गया, हम देखते रहते हैं लिंक्डइन पे आजकल कभी माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के साथ कुछ हो रहा है, कभी इसके साथ कुछ हो रहा है. So obviously everything is going to come on you. So maintaining cloud is a very responsible thing. Cloud and web, I will say, these two things are very responsible things. So इन दोनों के लिए आई थिंक एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा, हर कंपनी एक्सपेक्ट करती है अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस हो और थोड़ा लाइक मैनेजमेंट स्किल्स भी हो. तो यस, दिस इज अ ट्रू थिंग. दिस
So as a fresher, if like someone is very much interested into cloud security and they know कि cloud में actually job उनको मिलना chances कम है because they will make mistakes definitely. Everybody make mistakes, right? So how can they start? या तो वो web में जाएं पहले job ढूंढें, right? They get started, they gain the experience, then shift to cloud security. या फिर वो cloud security specific ही jobs को ढूंढे. मतलब how one should approach this area.
तो जो आपने सेकंड ऑप्शन बोला कि क्लाउड स्पेसिफिक ढूंढे, आई वांट सजेस्ट दैट लाइक आई मेंशन्ड देयर आर very little jobs if even it's there. The reason I already mentioned why. So I think they can get started with even a network. If not that, they can start with a network security, web security, penetration testing. There are many profiles with which they can start. And once they enter the organization, everyone is using cloud nowadays. So cloud security team will be there. So with time, they can collaborate with their peers. They can start learning more about the cloud, and with time, they can switch into that particular role. So that would be much better thing. And as a security engineer, I would suggest knowing about only one thing is not a good engineer. If you only know about cloud and cloud security, I don't think so you will be a good engineer in future. You should be knowing everything with time. Because in this perspective, you will be able to understand the whole like world in a better way. So I did my graduation in BTech from Thapa University, Patiala.
BTech.
In computer.
So after BTech, you actually learned and everything, or while doing BTech also,
Right.
you were having it. Then आपने वो पगपाउंटी and CTF शुरू करा था, right? I'm just क्या कहते हैं pieces को जोड़ रहा हूँ मैं puzzle की, right? तो I'm just connecting the dots. तो उसके बाद आपने actually आपने एक recruiter को reach out करा, right? And then you got an internship, right? Now internship, how big the role of LinkedIn is? मतलब LinkedIn की प्रोफाइल को मैनेज करना कितना ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है आज के टाइम?
I would say it's very important. So LinkedIn helps a lot because almost all the professionals are there on the LinkedIn. And from my perspective, what I have seen, if I message 10 people, then almost seven people replies, and at least 5 people are surely going to help you. Like they will surely refer you. Further depends upon them if they will shortlist your profile or not. But people are very helpful, and LinkedIn also very helpful tool because you will also see the job postings as well. At least you'll be come to know that some company is hiring in that particular role. If you know someone outside, you can directly go and ask for the reference. Or if that particular guy is hiring, that's the best thing. Directly reach out to that guy who has posted the job. So there are high chances of getting shortlisted. Yeah, so LinkedIn and I would say Naukri as well. These two are the great apps that I have.
सो अगर जैसे लिंक्डइन की बात करते हैं तो लिंक्डइन पे इफ समवन हैज टू मेक अ गुड प्रोफाइल राइट और उसको मेंटेन भी करना है तो व्हाट आर द थिंग्स क्या फॉलोवर एक्चुअली मैटर करते हैं या फिर योर पोस्ट मैटर्स अ लॉट आई मीन व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स दैट आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट जो रिक्रूटर देखते हैं टॉकिंग अबाउट लाइक फ्रॉम द रिक्रूटर पर्सपेक्टिव
Yes. तो फॉलोअर्स तो ऑब्वियसली नहीं मैटर करते हैं, रिक्रूटर्स नहीं देखते. दैट्स द फर्स्ट थिंग. Secondly, I would say a bio. So the LinkedIn bio should be perfect because what HRs or the recruiter do is they just apply the filter on the LinkedIn. Let's say they want the cloud security and threat modeling in the skill. So they will just add the filter of cloud security and threat modeling. And let's say they also want some particular area as well who is already working Bangalore. So they will apply these three filters. So if these points are missing from your bio, so obviously they won't be able to find your profile. Many people think that we have less followers, 400 followers, so that's why our profile that came into the eyes of the recruiter. But that's not the case because the keywords are missing from the bio. So I would say that your bio should be perfect. Write everything, whatever you know. And moreover, if you have any experience, you have worked on some project, mention everything in the link, your project, explain that, add the link of the GitHub applicable. So all these things will matter and it will help your profile reach out to the recruiter.
On adding projects actually, so development teams में project add करना is very common, right? But cyber security, do you think it's a good idea to actually mention your projects? I mean, projects like what project and technology, itna sab mention karna, do you think it'll be good?
I want to cybersecurity projects. Let's say if we have worked on some common development projects, let's say, because many people who come from a development background, let's say, or many people do their capstone project in the final year, and most probably won't be linked to the security because there will be many people working together. And if you are on the security engineer, obviously they don't know. So that you can mention if you have worked on some common tool, let's say open source tool, if you have worked on. And if it is open source, then you can directly mention your LinkedIn and people can also explore. So the thing is, let's say there is some technical recruiter who also understand the technical skills. He will surely going to open that particular link and explore. And if he has a technical and he finds that it's a good thing, he will surely pass a resume to the manager and yes, it's surely going to get selected for them. But the keywords and projecting are the most important thing for I have seen.
I'll tell you why I asked this question because I was taking a guy's interview. Okay, मैं यहाँ पे Global Logic में, right? I'm working there, so I'm also taking interview sometimes. So what I actually saw that उसके profile पे ना there were lots of project mentioned, but उस project में there were so much details mentioned, and in the field of cyber security, you know कि ये जो public forum है इस पे इतनी सारी detail होना उसका कितना कुछ matter करता है, right?
Right.
So I asked him clearly, यार तुमने project mention करे हुए हैं, but don't you think this information gives us an attacker edge? कि अच्छा ठीक है इस company में when you are working with the company, right? So उस company में इस project में ये technologies हैं, उसने version भी mention कर रखे थे, तो it's a big waste. So I actually am a fan of कि कितनी कम details जो उतना better है. In your resume, being a cybersecurity professional, yes, you can mention your tooling and everything, और कम details देके वो सब mention करो, it is good. But हाँ, ज़्यादा mention करो. This is just for audience. Okay. So ठीक है. उसके बाद you work there. In which company did you actually got a permanent job? First thing.
So the first company was MakeMyTrip, where I got the first job.
Okay. So it's a per-based company. सब जानते हैं flights and all travel के लिए hotels.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was your experience there?
So the experience was brilliant there. So basically that was my first job. So obviously it was very good experience. My role was mostly focused on the penetration testing and vulnerability assessment part only. So the one good thing was I was able to see how the things work in the product-based company. Because before I was not having that knowledge. But then after joining, I was also able to see how the things work, how the issues getting fixed by the software developers. Like we get on the calls with them, we explain them the issue because these are the new things for software developers. exercise them as well. Wow, this is something new, and then we explain them how to fix. Then they will come on a call. They fix in front of our eyes. We also get more knowledge like how he's fixing in the code. So that is also one of the things from where you can learn more about the code review part, like I mentioned. So I learned a lot from there. There were many issues which we were finding. They were fixing in front of our eyes. So we were getting a lot of knowledge. Yeah. So that's a great journey in MakeMyTrip.
Okay. Let's talk about this collaboration, right? कि हम developers को issue देते हैं, developers fix करते हैं. Sometimes what happens is कि let's suppose कोई vulnerability है, like CSR, right? और हमने उसको medium या high दिया हुआ है, right? हमने high दिया हुआ है, let's suppose, depending upon the impact, right? और severity हमने उसको high दिया हुआ है, depending on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
Let's not into details. अब क्या होता है, sometimes developer या development team कहती है कि this issue should not be high, right? ऐसा बहुत होता है क्योंकि every team, because high के एक अपना SLA होता है, right? High को fix करने का, medium का अलग and low का अलग. तो actually development team चाहती है कि उसको reduce कर दे, ठीक है? तो talk about your experiences, how actually you defend your severity. ऐसा कभी हुआ हो, MakeMyTrip में हुआ हो या भी हुआ हो?
Yeah. So that's a good question.
Too many details.
Yeah. So that's a good question. It happens every time. In all the three companies, this happened with me a lot of times. So first thing that I take care of is I always firstly revalidate the issue properly and decide the severity accordingly, so that it won't be missed from my side. After we reach out to developers and if they say no, this should be medium or low, what we do is we firstly generously explain them the issue, and we also perform that testing in front of their eyes. That see what this particular issue is doing. 80% cases mostly agrees. Yes, this is the issue. This should be high or critical. But if 20% doesn't agree, we try to share some resources with them. It can be internal resources, it can be some basically references that because there might be a case sometimes they are not aligned with us and resources might can help. But in the worst case, we ask them to invite the managers or the reporting managers, they are lead as well, so that we can have a more collaborative call. Because in case severity gets reduced, they should also be aligned why they are reducing. Because let's say I am in a call with a software engineer and he is just 1 or 2 years experience, and on saying of he might reduce the severity. But let's say after 2 days his manager comes, that what happened, why did you reduce the severity? And he denies, let's say I didn't say anything, he only agreed. So just to prevent this type of things, so we mostly call the direct managers or at least leads in the call and explain them they should, if they also agree no, this should be medium or low, then accordingly, like if we also feel that this can be, then we do. But if we are confident no, it should be high, then it is always high and they have to fix it in the given assignment.
So by resources, you mean like CPSS and all, या फिर scenario बताना, explain करना, all that, or is there any?
Yeah. No. This only, and if there is an internal docs as well to explain that issue more, then we share that as well. Like what exactly, let's say CSR is, if they are not able to understand from our perspective, so let's say they understand from the resources, then we share that as well.
After MakeMyTrip, right? You worked there for how many years?
I worked for 1 year and 2 months.
1 year. Then what? Did you write a message to recruiter again? How was it?
No. After that, everyone started dating like by themselves only. So I used to receive a lot of calls during that time. So after 1 year and 2 months, I decided that I should move right, and then I joined Razorpay after MakeMyTrip. So Razorpay was basically yes, it's
okay. So your profile must have been good, because a recruiter reaching out to a person, that means sometimes you filter your skills. Yes, that worked.
Yeah,
but then
like I think MakeMyTrip also helped. Like MakeMyTrip is a big brand, so that also helped me a lot. And yes, obviously skills as well.
Okay, so Razorpay is mostly like into finance domain. Which domain?
Yes, so Razorpay is a fintech company. It's a payment gateway basically. Yeah. So that was basically in the startup phase at that time, and security team was also like 3 or 4 years old. So I wanted to have some startup kind of experience as well in security. So when I joined, I think I learned various new things, and I also saw many new things getting built in the security team only. So that was a new exposure to me. So people were also very great, very knowledgeable. So there I learned about secure code, which I was mentioning earlier, in more detailed manner, and I also started doing it that as well. In total, I think Golang and Python was the main language which I was doing, but side by side I was also doing in Java. So pen testing was going on side by side. Yeah.
When you say secure code review, so is it like a manual thing or is it like automated? Like, are we talking about SaaS or are we talking about actually manually reviewing the code? Because if there is a huge code, like huge number of lines of code, we cannot do that manually, right? And there might be tools, license tool and everything, right? So what are those tools that have you used actually? Just to
So basically, there were many tools which were getting used. Most of them were internal. I don't think so. We should discuss that. And but there was one tool which open source, which is 45. I think many people know. So that is a very great tool. It also supports long pods as well. If your pod is in the lakhs of lines, let's say. So that is one of the tool which we used a lot in that time, and it also gives a good issues. False positive will be there every time, but quality of issues is also good. But manual is also there that I won't deny. And what I have seen from my so what I've seen from my experience, I always find more issues in manual as compared to tooling. Tool always misses the issue because what I feel is tool can't understand the whole logic. It can only find the direct issues mostly. Let's say if there is no stored procedure or anything like that getting used, then it can flag. It's an SQL. But if it's very complex in nature, it won't be able to find it. Will only be able to find the manual perspective only. So manual is also important as much as tooling is. Tooling is just reducing the time. Let's say we mentioned there are 2-3 lakhs of lines. So those helps in that.
definitely. On this source code again. So what my experience is, sometimes companies are using SonarQube, right? And SonarQube is more of a code quality tool from my perspective, but companies are using it on for security also, like for SaaS issues. So according to you, what is your opinion on this? Will it be okay to actually use SonarQube as a SaaS tool, or should the company use actually the licensed SaaS tools, right? The tools which are actually there for that job. So what is your take on this?
So I think company should be using the license tool, which is there for security, and should not be focusing on a tool that gives the code quality issue as well. For the SonarQube, I have heard from a lot of people. Now I haven't used SonarQube, but I have heard from a lot of people that it gives code quality issues, which obviously is not for us. That will increase the time because the most of the time we're going categorize the false positive and finding the true positive one. So I think that's also basically wastes our time, and the security issue quality will also be very less in that case. So nowadays, many companies have their own internal tools. What I have seen in the Razorpay as well, in Amazon as well. So those tools are like great. Apart from that, 45 is a good tool. So I can't compare with SonarQube, but yeah, it's a good tool.
Yeah. So when you say, see, big companies like this, they build their own tools, right? And building their tool as well as automating them. Setting them up in their pipelines, right? CI/CD pipelines. So do you think that programming also plays an important role here also? Like companies like Amazon, product-based companies are generally looking for someone who can code also, who can make their own tools. So do you think it is quite important, or is it like for freshers they can skip this?
No, it's quite important, I would say, especially in the big product companies. I won't say you should be knowing the Java or C++, but you should be having the knowledge in of code, because mostly what I've seen automation takes place in the language like Python, Bash, and all. So I think at least you should be good in Python and Bash. You should be able to code, because in the interview I was asked to code, and your role also might be requiring some coding knowledge, like we mentioned. Lot of automations keep on going internally, so you might also have to participate in that. It can be like completely making a new tool or improving an already existing tool. So yes, that knowledge should be required and complete.
So from Razorpay, you moved to Amazon, right? And then how was your journey from Razorpay to Amazon? Let's talk about.
Yeah, so it's been around 3 months I have moved to Amazon. So it's a great journey till now. So here, like my user looks like basically it revolves around three things. So like I mentioned, that modeling, code reviews, and cloud security. So we get different customers reviews basically. So my role is basically in the review side instead of penetration testing. So pen testing is not a requirement for my role. So it's just a review. We have to review cloud code as well and that threat model. So here we get different products. Let's say it's not limited to only one product. If I take an example of Alexa, let's say, so it won't be the case. I will be getting Alexa products to review. One day it will be Alexa, let's say. Another it will be Amazon Pay. Third it will be transport, and fourth it will be different. So that's also one good thing of a security engineer. Because if we talk about software engineer, obviously they will be working some fixed thing. So they will be working on a fixed product like throughout the year, let's say 1, 2, 3 years. But here it's not the case. So you will be getting a lot of exposure of different products. Obviously, if the product is different, everything will be different. Like the infrastructure, I would say, the threat model. If I talk about the diagram and all the resources getting used, so exposure will be very great.
So if someone actually likes diversity, I think it will be a very good thing, right? With very good place.
Right.
Actually. Okay. So have you applied to Amazon or how was it? Did you reach out to the recruiters or recruiters reach out to you or did you apply via LinkedIn or Naukri? How was your journey? I mean, how did you get started?
Yeah. So I saw opening over LinkedIn that Amazon is hiring. So I reached out to one of my friends for the referral. He referred me. And after some days, yeah, I got a call that they want to proceed it. So the Amazon mostly follows the rule of phone screen. So they first screen everyone from the phone screen down. And then after that, they will proceed with the technical terms.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. So we understood your journey, right? And now you're currently working at Amazon. If let's suppose someone watching right now, us, right, and watch this video. So beginners, ultimate beginner, okay. So what would be your advice actually? I mean, not in terms of cybersecurity, like how one can prepare for these companies because it's a dream for many, right? Which you have achieved. So is there a path so that they can travel it easily? Not easily, but yeah, they have to work hard. But yeah, your key takeaways, how one can join these companies in cyber.
Yeah, sure. So one thing like I mentioned is starting as well is the basics. Basics every company has. So like all the building blocks, like I already mentioned, computer networks, DBMS, and operating system. These three you should be like very good at. After that, if I talk about servers and especially the web part. So in web there is one thing called request and response. So there is request header, response headers. So I think that is also one of the most important topics. This headers thing is very confusing and also very important at the same time. So I think first they should be knowing all these basic things. After that, they should be having no good knowledge of the vulnerabilities and it should not be limited to a vast top 10. What I have seen from experience, people only learn a vast top 10 and come in the interview. And obviously, interview will just start with 10 vulnerabilities only, which is not the case. You should be knowing at least all the important vulnerabilities or including a vast top 10 and not only know about the vulnerabilities, know about the fixes as well, how those can be fixed. Because if you are going in a product company, I don't know about the consulting, but product company is surely going to ask you what the fix is because they want a security engineer who can help software engineer to fix those issues and not only find. So you should be just not be knowing only one fix. There will be many fixes for one issue. You should be good at all the knowledge, like how can fixing, because let's say there is some infrastructure that don't support the first fix which is suggested. Might be some second fixes needed, but you don't know. You only know the first one. So obviously that will be an issue. So you should be knowing everything or the fixes as well. So after that, I would say you should also be in knowledge of some coding as well. Like I would start with Python. Python is a good language. Learn it properly. So these are the building blocks I think which one should be knowing. After that, they can start jumping to, like I mentioned, secure code reviews and threat modeling as well. In product companies, what I have seen, they also focus on the secure code review part as well. You should be having that knowledge because nowadays companies shift. Like if people have known about this left shift thing. Earlier, people are focusing on only the pen testing part, which is the last part. If we go from this to this, so this is, let's say, the last part when deployment is done. But now what product companies want is to come at this part, which is a starting, where the designing is taking place, like how they are going to design their application, which we call it chatbots. Yeah. So they want to find most of the vulnerabilities and threats at this part only. Even if you miss something at this, then in the middle, when you start a coding phase in the SDL life cycle. So that's a secure code review come into the picture. That's why company wants you should be knowing the secure code knowledge, and Golang, Java, the B language are getting vastly incomplete. So if you are good at these two things, threat model and secure code review, I would say that you are very good to go ahead with the product companies. Pen testing nowadays, I think many companies started skipping or started like outsourcing to the third parties, like what I have seen.
So let's talk about threat modeling for a bit. So threat modeling, as you mentioned, is very, very important. Right? So if you want to explain to someone, right, someone who does not know about it, like what exactly it is and how one can learn about it. I know there are many resources, right? But yeah, how one can start about threat modeling.
Okay. So similarly, there are some courses if someone want to go with the courses. But if I have to explain in simple words what threat modeling is, so as the name suggests, threat is basically I would say a vulnerability which can be there. So that's why it is called a threat. That this is a threat for now, but it can be converted into vulnerability in the future. That's why we call it a threat. Because what we get is we get a architecture diagram basically from the development team. So we have the limited knowledge there. We don't have the code, what code is there, and we don't know how the application looks because we don't have that front end, back end, everything. We just get a diagram. So from the diagram only we have to understand firstly like what this architect is trying to do, what resources are there, and all. So after that we have to so this is basically a, I would say, experience thing. So with time this keeps on getting this. So you have to just apply your knowledge. Let's say if I take an example of house, let's say there are two doors in my house. And see, so at one door I have just applied a simple lock, and at the other door there's a very good smart lock. Let's say. So if someone has to think of the threats, how this can be prevented from a thief. So for now, that's it. This is in a diagrammatical phase to you. A house, two doors, and a threat actor, which is a thief for us. So here, if I start from a beginner perspective, what one can think of. So we will only focus on the doors basically. So there are two doors. And like I already mentioned, one is using a smart lock and one is using a simple lock. So there's a high chance the beginner will basically won't focus on the smart lock. He will just think that okay, smart lock can be used, it's fine. He or she will just focus on the first one. But what threat model says, everything is a threat until it is proved. So you have to basically check each and everything. If I talk about smart lock, check everything, how it is working. If it is connected to a smartphone, then how the app is working, what technologies are getting used, what features are there. If any logging functionality is there, then how it is implemented. If two app is there, let's say how that is implemented. If it is running properly or not. If it is using Wi-Fi, internet as well, or it is working through Bluetooth, it is using internet, then there might be a case someone can do man in the middle attacks or many things. So these threats you will come to know with time and experience, I would say. So this is how threat modeling looks like. You have to categorize the threats. There might be case all checks are there, but you don't know. You have to raise everything, whatever you see. Let's say you see that this from this smart lock, if I talk about. So let's say there's a threat of DDoS. I can see someone can easily DDoS on this. There might be case DDoS protection is there, but that development will tell. I can raise the threat of let's say it is using STTP. Might be STTP S is missing. That is a threat, but it can be mitigated by them. So there are many different threats and all the vulnerabilities that we can think of. So it's important because we can find the issues at a very, very start level, and it helps development teams to basically know about the threats at the very start level, and they can proceed with the coding part accordingly.
So I think someone who has a very broader view of security might be better than someone who has a very narrow view. Right, because in threat modeling, how I see it, there are a lot of concepts as you mentioned a very good example, right? And you talked about a lot of things. So if someone who has a very good amount of knowledge and in different areas, how actually attacker can, penetrate into the particular system,
Yes.
can be very good, right? Because
Yes.
we have to model in our brain just by
Yes.
viewing that.
Right.
So if someone is listening and someone thinks, right, that their brain works in that manner, they should learn about threat modeling, even if you are not into security, but it is very interesting.
Right.
It's a very good
I
example.
think I think this also answered the starting question which you mentioned, that on the cloud security that is fine or not. That's where this came into threat modeling. You should be knowing everything. You should have idea of the network. That only after that only you'll be able to think about that DDoS, man in the middle attacks and everything. If you
Yeah,
have
that's
knowledge of
one
cloud,
which is,
if you know what vulnerabilities, then only you can only think about the authorization, authentication, bypass, and everything like that. So yes,
okay. Let's talk about bug bounty for a bit, right? Because you have bug bounty, good amount of bug bounty experience, right? So there are my subscribers who reach out to me, stating that they are continuously getting, repeated findings, right? I mean, someone else has already found that vulnerability. So how one can, find the vulnerability and fast? I mean, there is a lot of competition in bug bounty, right? So how to actually manage those competition, find the bug? Do you have any strategy for you or any different pathway that you took? So let's talk about that.
sure. So for freshers, I have one suggestion because this happened with me as well. तो what like normally people do is, तो like जब हमें पता लगता है बग बाउंड्रीज, तो हमें लगता है ठीक है सीधा फेसबुक उठाओ, अमेजोन उठाओ, फांक पे जाओ, पैसा ज्यादा मिलेगा. अगर आप अमेजोन कोई भी फांक पे जा रहे हो, बड़ी प्रोडक्ट कंपनी पे जा रहे हो, तो यू शुड बी नोइंग all the big bug bounty hunters are already hunting them. So
Right.
they are almost secure. And if you're a beginner, you will search for XSS, CSRF for the simple vulnerability, which obviously won't be there. Or if it is there, it will be in a very complex way, which is very difficult to find as a beginner because you
Right.
need a good amount of experience. So first thing, pick small companies. Don't jump on the big product companies. And what I will suggest is pick companies that are not paying bounties. So those are just saying Hall of Fames. Because there might be a chance big bug bounty hunters will not be there on those sites. So there is a chance of getting some bugs. Second thing, what I suggest is don't focus on one vulnerability. Like what I used to do in the starting is, so XSS and SQLite was my favorite vulnerability in the starting when I just started. So on every site I used to test only XSS and SQLite. तो मुझे नहीं मिलता था कुछ, तो हो जाता था कि यार ये पैसा तो नहीं होगा कुछ भी. तो I would say understand the application. Let's say if you are testing application A, let's say, open it, find some subdomain, any target subdomain, open that subdomain and understand the whole application. What function, let's say logging functionality is there, sign up is there, and let's say search functionality is only these three functionalities are there. Prepare your test cases. Search functionality is there, access can be there. Or if search is fetching something from database, SQLite can be there. Some HTML injection or template injection can be there. Logging functionality is there. Authentication bypass might be there. If 2FA is implemented, you can check for 2FA bypass as well. You can check for SQLite as well in the login page as well. So after login, let's say there is some further portal where you can save something. There you can try for further issues, RC, some stored accesses, let's say. Many issues there will be. If OTP functionality is there, you can try for the OTP checks. And also, I would suggest basically understand the functionality first instead of directly jumping on some finding some issues.
So basically, your strategy actually does not depend on the vulnerability, right? Actually, this is in a contrast because a lot of people, like me also, right? When I started doing bug bounty long time back, right? I also did the same thing. यार एक्सेसेस उठा लेता हूँ, एसक्यूएल उठा लेता हूँ, because those are very, I mean, सबको पता होती है, right?
Yes,
सब कंफर्ट लेवल होता है उन vulnerabilities को लेके, right?
right.
तो मैं यही करता था, but it's a very good approach, your approach, कि actually functionality wise देखो एप्लीकेशन को, common functionality उठाओ, कैसे सर्च एक्चुअली वर्क करता है, राइट? सर्च फंक्शनैलिटी मोस्ट ऑफ द एप्लीकेशन में होता है, तो वो एक लॉजिक बिल्ड करो अपना, समझो ज़्यादातर जो भी एप्लीकेशन में होता है, एंड देन सी कि यार इसमें कुछ फ्लॉ है क्या. एंड माई एक्सपीरियंस इन दिस कि अगर बिजनेस लॉजिक रिलेटेड जो वल्नरेबिलिटीज होती है ना, वो उनको ही ज़्यादा मिलेगी जो एक्चुअली एप्लीकेशन को अच्छे से समझता है।
राइट राइट।
तो उन चीज़ों को अगर आप ढूँढ लोगे किसी एप्लीकेशन में, देयर आर चांसेस कि काफ़ी कम लोग वो ढूँढ पाए, बिकॉज़ हर एक को इतना टाइम इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेगा एक एप्लीकेशन को समझने। तो इट्स अ वेरी वेरी गुड आइडिया। आई होप द ऑडियंस कनेक्ट्स टू दिस एंड ट्राई इट। काफ़ी अच्छा था।
आई होप।
या ओके, वन लास्ट थिंग, ठीक है।
राइट सर।
तो वो एक्चुअली वी टॉक्ड अबाउट इट राइट, कि अभी हमारा शिफ्ट लेफ्ट जा रहा है राइट। सिक्योरिटी हैज़ बीन इंक्रीजिंग एट अ वेरी रेट, आई मीन वेरी हाई रेट राइट। मतलब
राइट।
जॉब्स ज़्यादा हैं अभी भी कंपैरेटिवली टू अदर एरियाज राइट। एंड कोविड के बाद से तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा जॉब्स बढ़ गई थी। तो how do you actually see someone who is working in this field or who wants to actually join this field, right? तो 5 साल 10 साल में कैसा आपका जो पर्सपेक्टिव है उसके हिसाब से कैसा एक साइबर सिक्योरिटी वर्ल्ड होगा आने वाले 5 साल या 10 साल, कुछ भी मतलब जस्ट योर पर्सपेक्टिव।
या सो आपने लाइक सही पॉइंट बोला। अपॉर्चुनिटीज एंड जॉब्स बहुत हैं इस फील्ड में। लाइक आई रेगुलरली सी रिक्रूटर्स के भी बहुत कॉल्स आते हैं, तो जॉब्स हैं। व्हाट आई थिंक इज लाइक जैसे मैंने पहले बोला कि वर्ल्ड सिस्टम बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स हो चुका है। मैनी थिंग्स आर देयर, लाइक टोकन्स इतने इम्प्लीमेंट हो गए हैं, JWT आ गया, कुछ आ रहा है। तो जितना चीज़ें कॉम्प्लेक्स होती जा रही हैं, सॉफ्टवेयर कॉम्प्लेक्स हो रहा है बेसिकली, उतना ही सिक्योरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स होता जा रहा है। तो बेसिकली व्हाट this is something which I learned from my teacher in the college. So there should be a what I would say. So there are three things. One is the functionality, one is security, and second is ease to use. So there should be basically all these things should be maintained. Let's say if you're just focusing on the ease of use, that user should be able to use this at ease. But then you are compromising on the two things, complexity and the security. But if you want your application to look fancy, it should be fancy, like complex. Then you are compromising your security and user experience. But if you are focusing only on security, that can also be an issue. Because in that case, let's say banking application, you log in, they ask you for the OTP. After that, they ask you for the security question. 3-4 things. We understand, but the normal people think why this is happening. This is very irritating. So there should be, I think, a proper mix of these three things. So nowadays, like software is becoming more and more complex. So I think security is also becoming more complex day by day. There are a lot of different skills which are originating, I would say, like cloud. Let's say is the latest example. Web. Let's say, so Akamai, Cloudflare nowadays are getting used a lot. So different profiles are there, like web engineers. So machine learning nowadays is very much used in security, especially in the web. I've seen. So Akamai, Cloudflare using machine learning a lot to detect basically the malwares or the botnets and all. AI is coming in the picture, generative AI, we know. So it's already being getting used in the product companies nowadays. So mainly for the code reviews or threat analysis also, I would say. So like there are many fields, and I think this will keep on growing in future, just like software is growing with time.
Cool. A very good analogy. Very good example. Just again, one last thing. Actually, I thought to wind this up, but yeah, there is one more question which I would like you to answer. There is a thing, right? कि generally लोग क्या करते हैं कि this offensive security is very fascinating to them. I know, right? कि हम hacker को movies में देखते हैं and वैसे देखते हैं, but you also have knowledge about SOC, right? तो आपके perspective से SOC actually क्यों important है? And comparing to offensive security, right? This defensive security world कितना important है and क्या उसमें exciting? So your thoughts on this?
So like we know there are two things, like you already mentioned, offensive and defensive. ठीक है, offensive लोगों को बहुत अच्छा लगता है, fancy word लगता है, but defensive भी उतना ही important है. Like offensive आप attack कर रहे हो, but आपको बचाना भी तो है खुद का आपका घर है, उसको भी तो बचाना है कि कोई enter ना कर जाए. So defensive में, like if I talk about SOC is the thing. So I have worked with the SOC team in MakeMyTrip. So I know that's also a very interesting thing. But like in product companies, they usually get a lot of attacks, like bot attacks, cross attacks, and things like that. So SOC team is the protector in this case. So you will see attacks in a live mode. If you are in a SOC team, how attack is happening, you are working in a basically live mode. So you are seeing the attacks, you are making rules on the spot. Let's say there is some bot attack happening. So you find he was able to bypass the IP check, let's say. So you made one new rule, let's say for the user agent, IP plus user agent, and he was smart enough to bypass both of these things. Let's say he wrote some script. So you will think, first you will understand what he is trying to actually do. You will try to read his response and request, how his request body looks like, and how the response is going from application. So let's say in the request body, you will see user agent is also not working properly, is able to bypass, IP also bypass. So you will try to find something. Let's say you find one parameter called cookie, which is a common in all the 10 requests. So you will try to apply a bit of cookie in this case, like combination of both, let's say IP, cookie, and user agent. So let's say if he is also able to bypass that thing as well, you will deep dive further. So this becomes very interesting because everything is happening in the live mode. Attack is happening and you are making rules on the live mode. So you also get to learn a lot in this process, and you're also working like in a live way. In offensive, what happens is we are just testing, and if we find the issue, then it is good. We get that fixed, otherwise not. But that is a live thing which is happening in front of your eyes, everything.
So basically, the summary would be, sorry to interrupt. Basically, the summary or the key takeaway for me from this conversation is कि अगर कोई SOC में है, that person is also learning about the offensive or the attacking techniques, right? और उसको actually attack करने की बेस भी पता चल रही है, and अपने आप को कैसे improve करना है, like हमारी techniques, the rules, right? वो भी समझ में आ रही है. And अगर कोई attacker है, वो SOC में जाता है, तो उसको न्यू अटैक की टेक्निक्स भी पता चली. सो माय टेक्निक की दोनों चीजें अगर आपको आती है तो यू विल डू गुड, राइट? आई मीन यू विल बी बेटर देन द पीपल जिनको बिल्कुल भी नॉलेज नहीं है. बिकॉज जैसे चोर और पुलिस का होता है, राइट? अगर पुलिस को चोरों की बेस नहीं पता होगी चोरी करने की, तो वो कैसे उनको पकड़ेंगे? काफी अच्छा था ये भी एग्जांपल, बहुत अच्छा था.
एक एग्जांपल मैं और लेना चाहूंगा यार.
हाँ, sure.
This is what I have seen. I won't take the name of the company or anything. Just an example. So what I saw is, so there was one application that was not protected from SQL and accesses. Okay. But we were using web, and web was very strong. I will also not take the name of the web. So web was protecting us from everything. Like checks were there. So that was a basically web application firewall. So all access, SQL, all injection checks were there. So it was getting blocked at the web level. So if anyone has seen, like there will be some bug bounty hunters as well who are seeing this podcast. So take an example of a Cloudflare. You usually see that you are blocked on Cloudflare if you try some malicious payload and your IP comes that this is the IP you were using, this is blocked. So this is when soft thing comes into the picture. Let's say if I am smart enough and I was able to bypass Cloudflare, whatever check is implemented, let's say only IP level check is implemented, that which comes from this IP, block this IP. Let's say somehow I am able to bypass this IP, and that particular page is not protected from SQL. Only they were dependent completely on the web. In that case, that application is gone. So these things you will be able to see in the SOC, in the live mode, how this is happening, how he crafted the payload, how that looked like, and you can fix that particular issue. So I will also suggest your application should be fixed at the application level as well, and don't trust that web. Web is just a second layer protection.
And that's the reason that us, like attacker like us, right? We actually हम whitelist कराते हैं अपनी IP को. I mean, just for the audience, कि हम ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर web protect कर रहा है तो हम जो underlying system होगा उसको test नहीं करें. We actually get our IP whitelisted so that कि अगर ऐसे सिनेरियो में कि अटैकर उसको बाईपास कर लेता है तो जो अंडरलाइंग सिस्टम में जो एप्लीकेशन है वो भी सिक्योर है.
Yeah, right. But that was missed in my case, what I have seen. But yeah, we should be.
These are the experiences. ये experiences बनाते हैं.
Yes.
Okay, Pratham, we have reached to the end of this discussion. But I hope it is a fruitful discussion for the audience, and I have really enjoyed it. And you have answered in a very good manner, explaining it with examples. I really like the discussion. So yeah, your closing thoughts on this discussion.
Yeah, so it was a great podcast. Especially it was my first podcast, so I was a bit nervous what will happen, but it was very great. It was great talking with you. I hope I have shared some good insights. I'm very happy to help over LinkedIn. So anyone who wants can reach out to me over LinkedIn or over my email as well. So I'm good to help there. And if there is anything, any question, they can post in the comment section as well or reach out to me directly.
तो ऑडियंस आप यहाँ तक आए हो तो ज़रूर चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर देना एंड वीडियो को लाइक करना एंड येस आई पोस्ट द सोशल लिंक्स ऑफ प्रताप तो यू कैन रीच आउट टू हिम एंड ही इज़ अ वेरी नाइस गाय, ही इज़ वेरी हेल्पिंग राइट. तो आप ज़रूर रीच आउट कर सकते हो फॉर एनी क्वेश्चन. और अगर चाहते हो कि एक और बारी प्रथम आए चैनल पे और अपनी और नॉलेज को शेयर करें तो प्लीज़ कमेंट करें.